But first I want to just unpack for a few minutes this idea of lowliness, humility, humble circumstances in a worldly sense. Every culture defines what identifies you as the high or the low. Usually in most cultures, and they vary around the world, and they vary even in epochs of time. But most value wealth, they value those that are smart, they value those that have physical attractiveness or beauty. Some cultures value the strong, some values those that you put in the pecking order, that those that would be high would be those that are older. Other civilizations and cultures value those that are younger. Universal to all of those is that the world is saying, compare yourself within your frame of reference and find your place in the pecking order. Are you high? Are you low? These guys were low. They were lowest of the low. Shepherds in the culture in which they lived were viewed as drifters, were never trusted. They, rightly or wrongly, were identified as thieves, similar to the way tax collectors would look culturally. They lived out, they did not have relationships usually with the typical society people because they were living on the hills night and day. They were crude, typically looked at as being vulgar. They were so identified with uncleanness, at least in Israel's culture, that they were not allowed to worship at the temple, which was uncommon for most of the people of Israel. They were outcast. They were low. They were, in the eyes of the world, considered less valuable. They were lowly. They were the humble. Now, that is one way of using the word humble. And the interesting thing is God comes among the humble in the world sense, the lowly in the world sense, an impoverished couple, shepherds on a hill to make the birth announcement of his son, in order to remind us that the concept of lowliness, the concept of humility, the concept of being humble is foundational to all that God is and desires of people. But if our only understanding of what's going on is that these were lowly guys, that this was a lowly scene, we don't understand what's trying to be taught here about humility and being humble.